We leave for Levia. Hyun thought about the offer. Being a professional has its advantages, but he prefers to play without being tied to an organization. At least Yihun seemed satisfied with the information about the hidden mission, so he thinks it would be nice to meet from time to time to talk about Asrian. But leaving that aside, Hyun needs to concentrate on testing the new ultimate before Ain comes, so he rents a dummy. He has to look like a human. He chooses this red jester dummy, which will disappear when he dies or when 3 hours pass. After that, he goes to the outskirts of the magic country in the habitat of the rock crab. Here he tests his new abilities using the dummy's body, since one of the abilities he received from the awakening was assimilation. This ability allows him to assimilate with a target that is less than 20 meters away. This gives him control over the target's body, besides increasing the main stat, so it works with any class. The other ability is Powerlessness Wave. This makes him surround himself with a wave of 2 meters away that reduces the defense of the opponents that touch it, taking into account his empathy level. When using these abilities, if there is not a boss of level 200 or 300, all his enemies will have their defense reduced to 0. Later, he meets up with Ain to go to Califer Mountain, where they encounter a level 150 ice golem. A while ago they wouldn't have been able to defeat it, but now they will in seconds. Hyun uses assimilation on Ain and takes his body, although it feels a bit different compared to the doll's body. Using the synergy of his abilities, he continuously hits the golem, doing a lot of critical damage. Such amount of damage can be achieved while being level 250 in Asura, but they are only level 50. The golem was no problem at all. After the golem fell, this bald guy shows up and wants to give Hyun and Ain a job to do. They activated a hidden mission. The old man is a bit suspicious, but will surely deliver the payment. They are warned that they won't be able to check the details of the mission before accepting it. After a while, they both accept the mission. It doesn't seem to be difficult. They only have to defend the entrance to those ruins. They don't have to stay there all day. From the moment the moon reaches its maximum, just for an hour, they will have to stop or kill anyone who tries to infiltrate the place. The guy tells them that no matter what, neither of them should enter the ruins. Asura had a similar mission. Someone told Hyun about it in a guild. Here Ain gets a bit jealous because she thinks the person who gave her the information was a girl. Day 1 completing. The mission begins. Ain does things in a flashy way. The first day they complete it with no problems and receive a couple of skill points as a reward. From there we go to day 2. They have guests, so they prepare to fight. This group had found a hidden mission that talked about a beam of light coming out of the mountain and were encouraged to investigate. However, Ain won't let them pass and takes out a couple of them. Next, he blocks magical attacks with his empty hands. This guy feels like he's seen Ain somewhere before, specifically on YouTube, because remember Tautar uploaded the video he recorded earlier. However, this guy thinks Ain is an NPC by the way he acts. Anyway, so ends the second day of the mission. Ain seems to be enjoying it quite a bit. Both are rewarded with a sky elixir that has a mysterious power that amplifies the user's potential if taken. However, it's a copy, so the effect is weak compared to the real thing. Getting one of those was difficult in Asura, but Hyun gives it to Ain, since technically she was the one who fought. Lately Ain seems to be in a really good mood. I think she's starting to fall in love with Hyun. Back to real life, Hyun meets Yihun for dinner. While talking about the game, Yihun tells Hyun that he got a hidden mission, which is basically to interfere with Hyun and Ain's mission. Even though it has very good rewards, Hyun tells him that he won't be able to complete it and to stay away from that mission. This because Hyun thinks it would be annoying to go against him. Back to Asrian, they continue with the mission. It seems like no one would go that day. Hyun thinks about the reasons he gave Yihun to stop Yihun and his game team from going on the mission. Ain wants more PvP, but the third day ends with no infiltrators. Hyun receives a unique sword as a reward. From here, many people start receiving the mission to investigate the suspicious light pillar, i.e., to interfere with Hyun and Ain's mission. The mission they receive is for more than one group, so it is likely that the best users will participate. The mission requirement is level 50. The third best guild in Korea, Myth, will participate in the mission, as well as foreign guilds, such as Darkness Guild. The strongest guild they have in their team rank 2, 7, and 9 of the Hall of Fame. This was all as a global event. The fourth day of the mission starts for both of them. This time they have company. A lot of people arrive because the rumors spread. It's the last day of their mission, so they will give their best. Hyun uses assimilation in Ain. This event was broadcast live. One of the commentators was professional player Kim Soo-young from Stardust Guild, the same guild Yihun entered. He managed to convince them not to participate, so they took a step back. The first guild to arrive is Myth. Their biggest source of damage is the Vice Master walking in front. They will try to complete the mission before darkness arrives. Myth's Vice Master walks towards Ain. He thinks she is also there for the same mission, But upon hearing this guy's identity, Ain unleashes her power and starts attacking, finishing off the Vice Master with one blow. Later, the teacher begins his class on the importance of adapting to this new society, the regulations and guidelines for the use of mana. But Yu Ilhan is bored and thinks that having a degree is not as important as being able to use mana. He is interrupted by Eartha, who tells him that the most efficient way to train mana is by hunting monsters. However, Yu Ilhan doesn't want to do anything dangerous, but Eartha explains that they are still in the initial phase of the Great Cataclysm, and some monsters are weak, and he needs to hunt many weak monsters to increase his experience and level to train his mana. But Yu Ilhan explains that he is only level 1 and can't even use mana like others. Eartha tells him that he has a very good physique, even capable of easily defeating level 25 monsters. He is surprised, and she tells him they can test it right now. At that moment, all the classmates are looking out the window at some giant insects outside the school. Eartha tells the protagonist that the tutorial is over and that humanity now has to defend itself. Most people are thinking about what to do, where to go, where the military is to protect them, but in the classroom, all the students are only thinking about running away. Minutes later, everyone runs away scared and leaves the protagonist alone. Eartha tells him to take action, that it's time and he can fight them. So he decides to make several weapons with the desks in the classroom to defeat the monsters. Eartha congratulates him and asks him how he made several weapons so quickly. He responds that he had enough time to learn crafting and many other things. Eartha remembers what Lita said, that Yu Ilhan was alone and didn't know how to do anything. Once he had the weapons ready, he regretted not bringing his lance. The protagonist tells Eartha that he wants to hide his identity from other people, so he decides to wear a mask. Giant insects appear destroying the city, and then Yu Ilhan appears from the heights wearing only his mask and weapons, and starts attacking with a swift kick from the sky, hitting the insects. One by one, he destroys them, and with each insect destroyed, his experience levels increase. He receives notifications that his skills are evolving, and he realizes that this is the way to quickly level up. He also discovers that by claiming the life of each opponent, he can gain more strength and increase his power. His mana level also increases during the fight. During the battle, Yu Ilhan is surrounded by a group of giant insects, but he takes advantage of the moment and restarts the fight, attacking with lightning-fast punches and kicks, quickly annihilating all the insects. Eartha guides and advises him on how to attack, making him even more effective. With each movement, he becomes more lethal, gaining experience and leveling up rapidly. Eartha advises him to always be active, and more giant insects continue to appear. But Yu Ilhan is not afraid and becomes even more confident in his abilities. He moves at great speed, cutting through the monsters and destroying each one in his path. During the fight, a giant mosquito hits him with its stinger, but Yu Ilhan remains unharmed, and the mosquito's stinger shatters when it hits him. Eartha realizes that the protagonist's skin is tough due to the extreme training he did during all those years, allowing him to surpass the limits of a human. Yu Ilhan makes a precise strike and annihilates the mosquito. Despite having destroyed several monsters, more reinforcements keep coming, and Eartha warns him to be careful. Yu Ilhan finds himself surrounded by a large group of insect-like monsters, but with great confidence he takes his weapons and exclaims, "It's time to exterminate bugs." With agile movements and the use of his homemade weapons, he explodes the bugs, gaining experience, endurance, strength, and mana. Later, Yu Ilhan is surprised by cosmic rays that destroy other insects. When he turns around, he sees a young woman with long hair and a gem on her forehead. She emits these rays with just one hand, and Yu Ilhan wonders who this unknown woman is and thinks she may be a mage. However, Eartha interrupts him and tells him not to lose concentration and to continue killing the monsters. They destroy the insects between the unknown woman and Yu Ilhan, and Eartha tells him that the unknown woman has a huge mana level since she can generate lightning attacks very quickly. Finally, Yu Ilhan annihilates the last monster, which gives him a high level of experience. After the epic battle, people slowly begin to come out of hiding, and they are amazed and happy. Yu Ilhan is a little exhausted. A few minutes later, the military arrives and explains that they could not arrive earlier because their vehicle had crashed. They are surprised to find all the monsters dead. Eartha guides the protagonist to examine the insides of one of the insect-type monster corpses to find a mana stone, which can be used as basic material for better artifacts. When Yu Ilhan breaks the toughest part of the exoskeleton, he reaches the maximum level of slaughter. The military is amazed at Yu Ilhan, wondering who he is, what his level is, and how he is so strong. People approach Yu Ilhan and take pictures, and he feels a bit embarrassed because he is not used to people interacting with him. However, no one will recognize him because he still wears his mask. The unknown woman approaches him and asks if he can help with the killing. And so, Yu Ilhan met the Empress for the first time. The Empress asks Yu Ilhan to please butcher the monsters for her, and if he could do it for her, since she saw him do it before. He asks how much she will give him, remembering that when monsters are butchered, they can obtain mana stones. She offers him 30% and then corrects herself and offers 40%. Yu Ilhan happily accepts the deal and begins to gut the monsters. As he does so, he overhears people in the crowd talking about what happened. Some say that the Empress is impressive as she can control the use of mana, and others tell stories like if you get too close to her, you can get struck by lightning. Yu Ilhan continues to think while hearing people talk about him, saying things like apparently he shoots lightning. And Yu Ilhan thinks that he does not do that, it was just the Empress. Others say that he killed monsters with his laser sabers, but Yu Ilhan knows they are just javelins, and he would actually like to have something like that. Some say they saw him using an axe, but the protagonist thinks to himself that it's just javelins and he has them in his hand. After he finishes, Eartha tells him that his stealth ability is great and he can do whatever he wants with the mask, and no one will remember him. He suddenly feels sad and says that he wishes people would at least notice he is there. Yihun analyzes Ain's fight. According to Suyong, only an artificial intelligence could move like that, but Yihun notices something odd. The fact that Ain takes advantage of the opponent's thoughts as they approach her seems very human-like to him. He analyzes the fight because there is an apprentice evaluation coming up. Later, XL confirms to his clan members that they were not defeated by an NPC, they were defeated by a user. He realized this because, when he came back, remember he received a notification that the mission was completed. At first they were happy, but after checking the system log, he noticed that the contribution rank was weird. Adding everything up, they didn't even reach 10% in theory only. The actions of the users are taken into account to determine the contribution rank. The NPCs do is not taken into account, so yes, thanks to this he knows that they faced a real person who had a different mission than them. He suspects that the difference in stats is due to an improvement on the part of the mission, but he couldn't be more wrong. What he is right about is that it is a hidden class. Hearing this, they want to try to get him to join the guild. They must do it quickly as not everyone knows that Ain is a user and not an NPC. Getting him to join will become their top priority. While Hyan was having dinner, he saw how the whole internet was full of threads about Ain. Everyone thinks his class is a dark priest. Better for Hyan, as he prefers not to be the center of attention. Next, he is notified about Asrian's first update. They will add a dueling arena in each city, all connected through the network, so he will be able to see and fight against people from other countries. Ain will be very excited. Asrian's main story is about to start, so Hyan will be busy after the patch. When he enters the game, he gets a message from Ain, who tells him that he won't be able to enter for a couple of days. Without his biggest source of damage, Hyan can't go hunting in high level areas. Ain not going to be around for 2 days is for the best, as things will get more complicated after the patch. Upon reaching level 50, Hyan unlocked a new mission. Now that he has time, he should do it, so he heads to the Temple of the Sunset. He wasn't sure if there is such a place in Asra, but he has no choice but to go since his mission is there. He planned to finish it quickly, but the further he goes in, the weirder the place seems to him. Further on, he meets a priestess. Hyan enters the temple. There he feels a strange atmosphere. Moreover, he talks to the priestess as his clothes are different from the others. She tells him that she modified them. Hyan still thinks something is wrong. A notification window tells him to wait for Hyan to find himself in that meeting. The priestess tells him that she will inspect his weapon, so he starts to do it. The priestess's name is Rusha. After inspecting Hyan's soul, she promises that she will not reveal this information to other people. She is surprised, as she has never seen Hyan's kind before, and starts to laugh. She then wants to explain to Hyan what empathy is. It is not just a special statistic. For the supports, it is something more than that. To understand empathy, they must go back to the transcendents. These are beings that live on a higher plane than humans, known as angels or demons. Empathy is closely related to them. Transcendents receive empathy from mortal players to grant blessings or prophecies that affect that world. It is this reason why priests learn to pray and send their empathy, so Rusha wants to teach Hyan to pray. However, the mission warns him that it might be a waste of time. However, Hyan accepts. Rusha explains to him that angels grant blessings or prophecies to the player, and the prayers of those with great empathy can reach the transcendentals easily. However, empathy is something that most have fixed at birth. Even priests have to go through grueling trials to raise it. Rusha tells him the story of the priest lost in prayer. This priest did nothing but pray until one day he accidentally fell asleep while doing so and said he was transported to a strange place. While telling this, Rusha used her magic on Hyun and makes him visit the place of the story he told. Hyun appears in a temple. Outside, the sky is red and the sun is black. Rusha told him that the priest in the story he told had a little secret. The priest's secret was that he served a demon instead of an angel. He started to empathize with the demon while praying, and his consciousness ended up in that world which is closer to the demons. In fact, the place where they are is a realm closer to hell than heaven. There, the prayers reach the demons. It is a contrasting world. Hyun asks Rusha if he can return to the real world if he wishes. She says yes, and they immediately return. This motivates Hyun, as he now knows the way to an unexplored realm. Hyun begins to pray, but it is difficult. He needs to maintain a state on the verge of falling asleep. Hyun wants to know Rusha's true identity, but she tells him that she is just a normal priestess. Hyun is surprised by this new hidden world. His skill mastery reaches 100% and praying goes up to level 1. Hyun has trouble breathing while his praying level keeps increasing. He starts to slowly lose his consciousness. He starts to empathize with a nearby transcendentalist. Hyun appears in the empty temple at midnight. Hyun started walking without a clear purpose. He came to be in front of this room, and when he enters, he finds this girl tied up. Her eyes are unfocused. She looks conscious, but at the same time out of it, she doesn't know why they have her tied up there, let alone why she entered a place like that. Suddenly, priests come to the room, so Hyun hides. These priests use a mental ability on the girl. They even have her on a magic circle. Even if it's a game, Hyun is bothered by this. The moment the priests leave, Hyun goes to the girl and tries to wake her up. He manages to wake her up by giving her an elixir until he finally frees her, but she is hungry, so he gives her something to eat. The girl has a strange necklace. Then she gets nervous and says that they will never take it off. The girl's name is Louise. This name Hyun never heard in Asura. After a moment, he has a main mission to save Louise, so he decides to help her out, as the way she talks is unusual and the situation she is in even more so. Even if it wasn't a mission, he wants to help her. As he leaves the temple, he tries to run away but notices someone else, then tells Louise to run. She agrees, as she can use wind magic, so she can move relatively quickly. They both start running and Hyun is surprised by their speed. However, there is trouble. They have been running for 10 minutes and still not away from the temple, so they stop. They are stuck on a sort of endless road. Suddenly, a light flashes from the temple. Moments later, Hyun closes his eyes, and when he opens them, he finds a forest in front of him, so they have a way to run. Hyun thinks someone help them. He doesn't know exactly what's going on, but seeing how things are going, the best thing to do is to keep running.